It's been a while since we've talked about the Printify product creation workflow, and some things have changed. So in this video, we're going to talk about the Mockup Library, AI listing description generators, and a few other updates. So let's dive in and take a look at what's new at this point in 2024 with Printify. All right, it is just about September 2024 here. Actually, this video will be posted in September 2024, and this is the current state of things with Printify and the listing creation process. We've had a lot of changes this year, both small and large. Now, to start with, I'm going to create a brand new listing from scratch from the catalog, but I do want to mention a couple of things about duplicating or copying a listing in order to create a new one, which is one of my favorite things to do on Printify, but we'll get to that a little bit later. First, let's just create a listing from scratch and pay attention to anything that may have changed this year. So we'll go to the catalog and we will do a t-shirt. I'll do one of my staples here, the Bella Canvas 3001. One thing that has changed this year is Printify Choice, and they have made this, they're kind of asserting this a little bit more than when it first came out. I've seen some comments about this on the channel, that when you look at a product in the catalog that is a Printify Choice product, or one that can use Printify Choice, that's what they're defaulting to now. They're defaulting to Printify Choice here. You'll see it right here on the page. It says Printify Choice, and they give you the Start Designing button. If you don't know what Printify Choice is, or if you just want more information, I did make a video about it back when it first came out. It is still relevant as far as how it works, so I'll link to that video in the description and in the corner of this video in case you want to go check that out. But the short version is that with Printify Choice, you don't select a specific print provider. Printify will automatically select print providers for you. They only use providers that have a rating of 9 or higher. Basically, they're not going to use a provider for the product, a print provider that has a low rating to fulfill your product. And that's something that I personally find very important. So I was glad to see that they added this to their criteria. There's nothing wrong with using Printify Choice unless you definitely know for a fact that you really want to specify which print provider you're using. And that is still kind of important to me. So I do like to select my print provider manually. So when you scroll down on a page that starts with this Printify Choice option, you should, under the Select a Fulfillment option here, below the mockups, you should see this Printify Choice network next to Choose Manually. So if we click on Choose Manually, now we'll get that sort of classic view of all of the print providers. Now, next to the print provider name, it's been this way for a while. You'll see the rating, the score for each print provider. And if you click on it, you will see the breakdown of the score between quality, production speed, and stock reliability. All right, I'm going to come up to my tried and true Monster Digital, who I still personally use for all of my t-shirt, sweatshirt, and hoodie fulfillment in the United States, and click on Start Designing. Now, we had some changes to the design creation interface here earlier this year, which I did make a video about, so we're not going to go through every detail here, but I do want to point out just a couple of things. One of those things is the AI image generator that is over here on the left side of the menu. That is something that was added a while back, and it is certainly something that you can try out. You have a maximum of 15 daily attempts for using the AI image generator, and in my experience, I have tested this out periodically since it launched. It's still kind of not the greatest AI image generator in my opinion, but with your 15 daily attempts here, you can certainly, try to see if Printify can give you something with their AI image generator that can work. I just haven't had the greatest luck with it yet. One other thing I want to make sure you didn't miss earlier this year when it came out is the templates section over here in the left menu on where it says My Templates. If you create a design that includes multiple layers that you have created right here in the design editor, like for example, this design which has a portrait of a dog with the dog's name on it. Let's say I was going to offer this specific layout of this design on multiple products like t-shirt, sweatshirt, hoodie, tote bag, all those things, and I wanted to quickly be able to recreate it on those listings as I'm creating them. Let me switch to a white t-shirt here. The first time I create this design, I just uploaded my image and then I added a text layer because I'm going to offer personalization for this. So what I can do after I've done this for the first time, of course, this is a super simple one. It's just a text layer plus an image. I can highlight both of those layers there. And then up here, notice what appeared on the menu on the top of the screen. It says save as template. We give that template a name, save it, and then it will appear over here under my templates. Now, when it's time for me to go create the hoodie listing or the sweatshirt listing or that tote bag listing, I can just pop this template onto the product and go a little bit quicker versus having to recreate this layout, this design on every product. All right, now let's talk about mockups. We have more to talk about with mockups here because we had some significant changes this year in the mockup space. So let's click on preview in the top right, just like we have for quite a long time. And there are a few things here that I definitely want to point out. All right, now the first thing is that for some products in the catalog, like your staple core products here, like this Bella Canvas 3001 t-shirt, Printify has added a lot more stock mockups that you can choose from now. And some of them are actually not bad. So it still shows this default lay flat mockup here, which you can add your own background to. I have made a couple of videos about that actually. To do that, you scroll down on the right-hand side of the screen where you can click on add image and upload your own background. So for example, here's one that I have uploaded so that I get a little bit of branding and a little bit more than just a plain white background. Of course, this one doesn't work great for a white t-shirt, but you get the point. You can upload your own background here. That's not available on every product, but just look in the bottom right corner of the preview screen to see if it's available for the one that you're creating. Now in the top right, this is where we have all the different mockups. We need to click on show more because now there are a lot for the Bella Canvas 3001. They have a lot more of people wearing the product than they used to, and they have several more of the just product only ones. For example, here is, I think, a perfectly usable one. It has a little bit more context. It's still kind of a white background, but it looks a lot more like a real product versus their traditional lay flat mockups. There's one hanging on a chair as well, and then there's a lot more with people wearing them. The people ones all still are mostly just plain white backgrounds, but again, you can upload backgrounds to make it look like they're in a room or outdoors or something like that. Another thing that you may have missed is that included here is a size chart. Now, it's not the best size chart in my opinion. I still like to have my own kind of branded size chart that I put on all of my listings, but if you don't want to take the time to make your own size chart, they now have one, again, not for every single product in the catalog. And by the way, you can still add a background to the size chart. You just want to make sure you create a custom background for it, because if you notice like what my background did here, my logo is behind the size chart table here. So I would need to create one just for the size chart. So my logo is somewhere else. All right, now we need to talk about Mockup Library. So let's say we went through here, we adjusted some of these, we've kind of picked the ones that we want to use. If you're creating this listing from scratch for the first time, it will automatically take you to the Mockup Library. This is a whole new feature that came out this year that enables you to select the specific mockups that you want to be uploaded with your listing. And there is a big feature here that could save you a little bit of time, but maybe not a ton of time, but still it's helpful to have. And it's this little button over here in the left side of the screen that says upload. Because if you notice, there is a tab right next to it up here where it says Printify mockups. There is a tab that says uploaded by me. Printify is finally allowing you to upload some of your own mockups. It will pull through the mockups that you separately added, and then you don't have to go do that yourself separately when you are publishing the listing. So when we use that option to upload an external mockup, now you'll get this little green banner message, and then you can go to uploaded by me and you will see this extra mockup. Now let's talk about how to select the ones that you want in your listing. It is pretty simple and straightforward, and the ones you've selected show on the right side of the screen. Now on Etsy, you're only allowed to have 10 mockups, and one little flaw here that I have found with the Mockup Library is it defaults to show you really unhelpful mockups in many cases, and so it will just default to select a lot of the lay flat ones for every color option you have. And when you don't have a design on the back, it will show the blank backs, as you can see. And it even somehow shows duplicates sometimes, like you see here. So this is a little bit buggy, I think, the way it pulls these through by default. So all you have to do is hover over and click on the X in the corner to get rid of the ones that you don't want. So I don't need any of these lay flat ones. I have the first 3 that have my background on them, and I'll use those to show the color options in the listing. So I can select 7 more here because now I'm publishing this to Etsy and I only have 3. So now we come back to the left side of the screen and we just click on the ones we want to add to the library. So we'll add that white one with the chair. We'll add the white one with the hanger there. We will add the size chart, which I should have altered the background on, but we'll just leave that for now. Now, if I go over to the uploaded by me, we can click on that one and add that one. So it's there. It did kind of squish it a little bit, but we'll double check on the listing, but I think it comes through correctly when it publishes. Now, if you notice over back on the Printify mockups section there. We can also select the different color options. So if you want to include a couple of the different color option ones to mix in there, you can do that as well. Let's pull over this black one here. Let's pull over this one of the person wearing it. So now I've got all 10 images that I need. And on the bottom right corner, we can click on Save Selection. All right, so here's all 10 of my mockups that I selected now, including the one that I uploaded myself. And you could have all ones you uploaded yourself here, but we're all set with our mockups. Now, the only thing it doesn't let you do, at least not right now, I don't know if this will come in the future, it doesn't let you rearrange them or designate which one you want to be the primary one. So I think it's just the first one that was added to the library gets basically selected as the primary mockup. So you do still need to go edit that on your sales channel, which is Etsy in this case. We'll need to go and edit that in our Etsy listing and make sure we pick the one we want and adjust the thumbnail. We can't do that on Printify. All right, now for publishing the rest of our listing, we do have mostly the same stuff going on here, but there have been a couple changes this year. One of them is a new AI description and title generator. So if under the listing descriptions, if we click on that, we'll get a little side window that pops up. It's going to ask us to describe this design, and then it will generate a title and a description for us. You want to be fairly descriptive here to get the best results. And by the way, this is also something you have daily credits for, so you can only do this a certain number of times per day. Let's click on generate here and see what it comes up with for this one. All right, it came up with a product title and a product description for us. Now, one thing that I personally think, this is just my opinion, but I think that the titles that it generates are a little bit spammy. There's not a ton of repetitive words in here, but the title that is this long, just because it can be this long, I don't like my titles to look this way. I like my titles to be maybe 2 phrases together, not 4 or 5, just to try and hit as many keywords as possible. So I personally don't really use this tool for the titles especially, but I have actually used some of the description that it comes up with on occasion. So let's look at that. Now, if you take a look at this description, I actually think this is perfectly usable. There's nothing in here that's super, fluffy marketing language. It's got a little bit of that, but it accurately describes the design. And this particular one, I haven't had this happen every time, but this particular one, I might not change a thing here. I might just go ahead and use this. But as far as the title goes, I would change it. So I'm just going to click on apply to listing, and then I'll edit the title. Now under shipping method, we do have that new economy shipping option. I have selected standard here. I still do standard personally in my shop because the savings for economy, at least for the t-shirts that I sell, the savings to me aren't worth the significantly slower delivery times. I also don't do Printify Express. That is a whole separate topic, which I have a video about. Link in the corner in the description if you want to consider, Express if you haven't. Of course, we always still want to make sure we select the shipping profile that we already use for all of our products of this same category, rather than creating a new shipping profile every single time. So you still have to do that. That hasn't changed. I'm going to select my t-shirt shipping profile here. Now, another thing that is different in Printify's product creation is for Etsy sellers, they now include options that will tell you your profit calculation as well as they let you figure out your pricing if you're going to offer free shipping. So in the pricing table, instead of just the prices and the profit based only on the Printify cost, they now will actually, if we scroll to the right here, you will see columns for the Etsy fees. Now by default, Printify is assuming that we are going to charge the customer 100% of our shipping costs. So in this case, the shipping cost is $4.75. So you'll see that under the buyer shipping cost column. And this calculation of profit margin here is assuming that customers are going to pay that shipping cost. But if you do free shipping for items like I do for t-shirts, I do free shipping for the United States, you can now hit this toggle button up above the pricing table, and it will now assume that the customer is paying $0 for shipping, and the cost of $4.75 now has to be absorbed in your product price. So notice it was saying my profit margin was somewhere in the neighborhood of 40%, and it's now dropped to 15%. So now, if you're an Etsy seller, you can more accurately set your prices right here on Printify without having to use a separate external calculator. They do also have this profit calculator button that pops open another window, which gives you a little bit more control to actually calculate your profit. And you can set, for example, a target profit margin, like I could put in 30% here, and it will tell me what the retail price needs to be. Now, if I scroll down, I still need to hit this free shipping toggle because it defaulted back to be turned off. It also lets me select different product variants here, which is helpful. So the small through extra large price for apparel apparel is often the same, but the price for 2XL and 3XL is often higher. So I can change it here and get an accurate measure of the pricing for those sizes. So this little profit calculator is helpful. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't let you build in like a calculate. It does let you build in Etsy offsite ad fees if you want to, but it does not let you calculate a discount that you are planning on offering. So if you want to know like, well, what's my profit going to be if I do a 10% off sale? It does not let you do that, but it does help. I think this is better than having nothing for sure. All right, let's go back to the listing here and actually set those prices, and then we'll publish it. So with our free shipping selected, I'm going to go in here and edit my price. You can still do this bulk edit of price, and I'll just click apply here, see what we get. Now I got 33% profit for small through XL. So I'm good with that. Let's change 2XL and 3XL. I'm good with that. Now we can move on to our publish settings, and nothing has changed here this year, at least not that I've noticed. So I still do the show all variants as available for purchase because I know that I'm going to use a backup print provider if I get an order for something that's out of stock. And if you have automatic order routing turned on, that's going to happen anyway. So I like to just publish it showing everything available for purchase, even if Monster Digital happened to be out of stock of one variant at this moment that I'm publishing it. All right, now I can hit publish on the bottom there, and we can go finish this listing on Etsy. Now, since this video is about the Printify process here, I'm just going to very quickly touch on the Etsy side of finishing up these listings. All right, over on the Etsy side of things, there are two things that I want to point out that you do still need to do because nothing has changed there. One of those I already mentioned, and that is adjusting your primary thumbnail. So as we saw on the Printify side of things, this lay flat mockup here is the one that came through as the primary mockup. So when we click on it, we get this little window. We can edit these, of course. So you still want to come in here and select the mockup that you want to be primary, move it into the primary position, and then use the adjust thumbnail option to go ahead and make sure you zoom in on the design so it's very clear in search results. I also want to point out the custom mockup from Placeit that I uploaded did come through with the correct dimensions, even though on Printify it looked like the vertical shape of it was squished a little bit. It did come through correctly here on the Etsy side of things. So let's make that one primary and let's adjust the thumbnail here. We'll zoom in on the design. I know that this one is missing the name. That was my mistake. I uploaded the wrong file. Don't hold that against me. We'll click on done, and then we will click on save or apply. It's apply down here in the bottom right corner. Okay, so we adjusted our mockups. The other thing that you still need to do here before publishing the listing, or if it's already published, you need to update it and then save those changes, is down in the core details section. This comes through defaulted as a physical item that you personally made. It's a finished product and it's made to order. However, it does not come through with a production partner selected. So we need to click on change here, and we need to actually, at the bottom of this pop-up window, select our production partner. So that is still something we have to do. We have to come in here, select Printify, make sure that that is identified. All right, so besides that, the last thing that you still need to do on Etsy, because you can't do it on Printify, is your tags. There is still no place on Printify to add tags to your listing before you publish it. So if you use Printify, there's still really no getting around having to do some editing of all of your new listings on the Etsy side of the equation, because you still need to edit those images and make sure that your thumbnail's right. You still need to add a production partner, and you still need to add your tags. All right, back over to Printify. Let's talk about a couple little details here, and then we'll wrap this video up. So I want to point out something else about the Mockup Library for anybody that does one of my favorite things to do to save time, and that is to duplicate an existing listing to create a new listing. So whenever I create a new, especially a t-shirt or a mug, my most common listings, the core products I sell a lot of, I always duplicate an existing published listing and then just change the design and edit the description and publish it from there, because the pricing will be the same and I don't need to edit prices, and even a big part of my description, even that is the same. So I like to use this duplicate button here and create a copy of whatever the most recent listing was that's going to be the same type of product. So if I'm creating a new t-shirt, it doesn't have to be even close to the same design. I like to hit that duplicate and then hit the paintbrush icon to edit the design instead of starting from scratch. So I just come in here and I delete my design, go select my variants if I want to offer any different colors on this one than the last one. add my new design here. Let's say I'm making this one for Halloween this year. So let's say I want to do orange for this Halloween one. All right, and now I'm going to go to the preview view because I'm done. Another thing that's nice when you copy a previous listing is it carries forward any backgrounds that you've added to specific mockups. So notice the one of the lay flat was the same. The one of this person that I added the background to was the same. Even the size chart is the same. So you only have to do that one time basically, and then duplicate your listings. All right, let's say I'm done with editing these mockups and we'll just click on Save Product. Now, so difference number one here is that it does not automatically take you to the Mockup Library. It takes you to the rest of the listing editor view because it thinks that this is an existing listing, so you may not necessarily want to edit the Mockup Library. That's just because we didn't create it from scratch. However, all we have to do is click on Mockup Library right here to go and edit that mockup listing that's coming through. Now, notice that it's only got 9 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10 because in the uploaded by me section, it did not carry forward that custom uploaded mockup that we added last time from that first listing we created. This is both good and bad. It's good if your custom mockups that you uploaded were specific to that last design. However, if the things that you uploaded were images that you want to appear on every listing, like maybe a custom size chart or an image that has a QR code that's a link to your email subscriber sign up, I want those on every single listing I make. And unfortunately, Printify doesn't carry them forward. So if you have custom images like that you'd want to upload on every single t-shirt listing, you're still gonna have to upload them every time. Otherwise, you just wanna make sure that you have all the right mockups selected over here in your mockup library before you click on Save Selection. And in this case, I don't have any of the orange color because that was a new color that I added. So I'm going to add at least one of the orange color so that that's part of my mockups. And then we'll go ahead and Save Selection. And from there, if I wanted to use the generate description with AI again, I could certainly do that. Everything else from there forward is the same. Of course, you have the benefit of your pricing is already going to be in here. However, when you add or change the color variations in an apparel listing like this, it does not automatically apply the pricing that you had on the previous listing. So if you notice, orange is back to like the default Printify price. It's not the price that I set. So I do have to come in here and set my price for orange because that is one that I added. But if you don't change any of the variants, any of the color options on an apparel listing, or if you're copying like a mug listing where it's the same variants every time, then you won't have to adjust your pricing. You will, however, always have to make sure that you select the correct shipping profile here. Otherwise, it will just create a new one every single time. So that is still true as well. And that's it for this video. I just wanted to walk through all of those little differences in the Printify listing creation process that have sort of racked up over the course of the year so far. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if you missed any of these changes or if you were totally aware of all of them and this was not helpful at all. Don't forget to subscribe to the POD Insights channel if you haven't. If you have, thank you so much. I do appreciate your support. Thanks everybody. See you next time.